Welcome back to another episode of Let's Have a Sip. I'm your host, Shawn Drinks. What's going on, y'all?
Not much. I mean, we're, all the high school kids are graduating, so we spend all day doing graduation parties. So that's just kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about where we live right now in Dallas, but a whole bunch of people have been moving out of the houses, and the housing market is just super insane. But everybody that has been moving in the houses are SMU students because we live less than a mile away from SMU, and it's like they're having parties like next door last night, just living life, and I was like, I'm cool with that. I lived that life for a while, so I get it. You only graduate once, so
I don't know. Our age started creeping through. We got the privilege of going up to the Kentucky Derby last week, and we were up there, and then about 3:30, all the young college kids started coming in to do the party scene, and we're out. It's like Donnell's looking at him and going like, "Where's your mom?" It's like parent mode set in. It's like, yeah, it's crazy when you get in your 40s how everything changes for you.
Yeah, I'm catching up. I'm catching up to you. You got a little bit of time on me, but my girlfriend was always kind of giving me shit because my birthday's in June, and she did this big thing for me last year. We went to Austin, Texas, did the whole thing down there because she's 33, and she was just like, you need to hurry up and turn 30 because I feel weird. You're in your 20s, so
we're gonna actually be down in Austin in about 5 weeks.
Oh yeah, for what?
We're taking a little trip. We're going to come down into Galveston for a day. Then we're going to hang out in Austin for a day, and then San Antonio for about 4 days.
We're taking the boys on vacation.
Make sure you prepare because it is hot. It's getting really hot. So I realized that yesterday because my girl and I had the opportunity to go to the Byron Nelson. It's like some golfing tournament. So we actually were able to stay in the what do they call? It's like those big tents. They have air conditioning and stuff like that. So it was hot as hell yesterday, and I got some brand new shoes, and they're like, are you familiar with what a Cole Haan is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got some brand new Cole Haans, and I made the awesome decision to wear them with no socks. So it didn't turn out too well. So. They had first aid tents kind of stationed around the whole park, and I was one of those guys getting my ankles wrapped. So
I was going to say, did your shoes shrink a size?
Say again?
Did your shoes shrink a size?
No. I felt like a big pussy because my girlfriend's dad was there and he was giving me crap the whole time. Like, yeah, you need a diaper as well. So, but yeah, So how about y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves and kind of talk about, the Grit House, what it's all about.
Okay. So I'm Nathan King. This is my wife, Donnell. And the Grit House is basically just, I think it's kind of a lifelong dream of mine. I mean, from the time I was 14, I knew I wanted to open a gym. And just the way life worked out, man, it just, the opportunity presented itself. And we were able to open it, and it's pretty darn close to what I envisioned, it to be. We've been open now just a little over 8 years, and it's growing strong. I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job with our business model and the way things are structured and establishing our name brand. And we're starting to venture out now into some other areas of fitness. I mean, we've got some jiu-jitsu programs and stuff in the facility now. We're trying to acquire a second building right now so that we can expand into some group classing and stuff that we haven't done in the past. So yeah, it's just we're just all about changing people's lives, man.
I gotcha. So, man, it's been 8 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
It feels like it's actually been longer than that because I remember I still remember the first time I walked in there, and I think at the time, so it was summertime. I think the AC in there was just destroyed. It wasn't working. I walked in and I was like,
it was kind of hit and miss on the AC.
But that has been repaired, but it's still hot in the summer. Yeah.
But no, I remember walking in, and I wasn't saying that was a bad thing because I walked in and I was like, I think I'm gonna love this gym. Just I don't know what it was, but the AC was off, and I was like, let's get it. So
it never stopped anybody. Everybody kept coming, and I'm like, are you not hot? And like Bo would wear always long sleeves. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that.
It'd be 88 degrees, and you turn around and he's in a hoodie and sweat dripping off his face. And but it kind of just adds to the whole atmosphere of the place, that hardcore atmosphere. So yeah, I mean, it works for us. We're definitely not for everybody. It's kind of a niche gym, but if you're into that gritty, like get in touch with who you are primarily. I mean, it's a cool place to train.
Yeah. So, and for everyone watching and listening, for those of y'all that don't know, the Grit House is based in Cleveland, Tennessee, and y'all are not originally from Cleveland, correct?
Yeah, we're both actually from Ohio, Northern Ohio.
Okay, so when did y'all move to Tennessee?
So I came down in 1998 to finish out a degree. And I was down here a few years, and then I actually went home on Christmas break and just happened to bump into this little thing over here. And she was so smitten with me that she decided that she needed to date me, and so I gave her that privilege. And the rest is just history, man. We ended up getting married, and she moved down here with me. And I mean, it's just we're living a dream, man. I mean, really. I mean, we got a beautiful family. We got 2 great kids. I mean, I don't go to work. I do what I love to do. I mean, I pull a lot of hours and stuff, but I'm one of those guys. I'll tell you, man, find what you're passionate about, find what you love to do, throw everything you have into it, and somehow it's going to work.
Yeah,
for
sure.
For 22 years.
Yeah.
Well, we've been married for 22 years here.
Okay. So now I know, Nate, you were in the police force, correct?
Yeah, for almost 10 years.
And then Dawniel, I don't really remember exactly what you did prior to the gym. What exactly?
I stayed at home with the boys.
Okay, I gotcha. So
she's trained though in hair. She did a lot of cutting hair and managing hair salons and stuff like that.
I was an instructor for cosmetology for a while too. But yeah, basically 17. Well, gosh, my oldest is 17. So about 17 years ago, I became a stay-at-home mom.
Well, it's funny because she made a deal with me, Shawn. She said, if you can find a way for me to stay home, she goes, you'll never have to worry about food. You'll never have to worry about laundry. I'll take care of all those things. And I thought, you know what? So 2 weeks later, I told her, I said, hey, quit your job. You're going to stay home. I got breakfast the next morning, and that was the last time I ever got it.
That's crap.
I think someone came out a little more ahead on that deal than someone else.
I don't know who's going to be in the doghouse after this episode. But.
Well, I still can't get used to. I feel like I have these wandering eyes because I don't know how you guys do this. I can't tell if I'm looking at the screen or you or what or.
What? So you worked at the police department for how long exactly?
Yeah, almost 10 years.
10 years. Okay. So I remember you telling me that, you would pull like some insane shifts, like 80 hours plus a week or something insane like that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. When we started the first opening that gym up, I mean, it was not uncommon for me to, hit 110 hours a week. Yeah.
He would work full time at the police department and then come in and work for another 6 or so hours to train his clients in the morning at the gym and then go home, sleep, and then do that again.
That is just insane. The only person I can think of, I don't know him personally, but I don't really know anybody that does, but it's like, I always heard Elon Musk talking about, like my brain the bandwidth in my brain is just insane. So like, I need to work like X amount of hours. He's like, I work 100 hours a week or whatever. And I'm like, how are you doing that?
Looking back, would I want to do that again? Heck no. But, it's one of those things when you put everything on the line and you have to make it work, you do what you have to do. I mean, I would be at the gym and we were getting it ready and, gutting the building and everything. And I had a little piece of plywood up on top of the office and I would crawl up there and take a nap on it for like 45 minutes and wake up and go back to work. It's just one of those things. I mean, I still, even though it's been 8 years, I can look back on that and I hate it thinking about it. Like I don't ever want to have to go back there and do that again. But if I hadn't done that, we wouldn't be where we are today,
Yeah.
And it was one of those things, at that time we had business partners too. And so much was riding on the success of that business when it first opened and so much pressure with 2 families with everything on the line. If it was going to fail, it was going to fail because of me. And so it was one of those things where, everybody was just counting on me. So, you just do what you got to do and you bite the bullet. And man, it worked out though,
Yeah. Oh, for sure, man. Like they're just, I kind of had, and I got, this, or both of y'all know this. Like I kind of got off the wagon and then would get back on it and then get like, I wasn't very consistent with, my regimen with working out and eating and stuff like that, whatever. There's no good excuse. I was just being a lazy POS. So, but, one of the cool gyms that I went to here in Texas, it's not very close to my house, but it's Destination Dallas. So it's like the home of like Gaspari Nutrition and,
know it well.
Yeah.
Yes. And Branch Warren works out there. And I got linked up with a guy. He actually came on the podcast a couple of weeks back. Nick Bagley. He's one of the coaches down there. Shout out to him. He's a very, very smart guy, super young. And he's always rubbing elbows with like Hunter Labrada and all these legends that are just coming through there. And it's just very cool to see. Like I went there and all I could think about was the Grid House because it's just so hardcore. Nobody was like super negative or anything like that, very welcoming, but it was like also like, hey, we're here to take care of business, because they got professionals coming in there, not just bodybuilding, but there was a lot of NFL athletes that would come in there as well because, a lot of Dallas Cowboys athletes would come in there and mostly like linemen and stuff like that, working with some specific coach in there. And it was just super cool. And it's just, I need to come back to the Grid House. I need to come back home. So,
and I love to hear you say it that way because from the beginning, we wanted everyone to feel like it was home. And I think that's the one thing that the common denominator that people say, especially the ones that have to leave because they move or whatever, is that it always felt like home, and you could walk in at any point of the day and there's going to be a whole bunch of people in there that know you and that know your goals and your struggles and they're there to support you. And I mean, it's really neat, man. I mean, it's amazing how much it's kind of touched our own hearts. Like we probably, I don't think, in the beginning ever thought that we would end up having the kind of relationships that we had. I mean, even like you, the short time that you were with us. I mean, you're still kind of in my speed dial on my phone in a sense, like I always know if I ever just wanted to say, hey, how you doing? I can reach out and you're going to be very receptive of that. And
like our kids.
Yeah. I mean, you're still sporting your shirt and I like you so much that I actually decided not to show the slideshow of your progress pics that I have on my phone, over your fitness journey. So see, I mean, we take care of each other.
That's funny that you bring that up because I was talking to a couple of coworkers of mine the other day. It's like somehow bodybuilding came up in the conversation. And I was like, yeah, I kind of was like, had a little stint of like kind of doing my thing with working out. Never had any desire to try to compete or whatever. It just wasn't really my jam, but I always enjoyed the process and being surrounded in that environment. So you still have my progress pictures? Seriously?
Oh, dude. Like I'd say.
Because I literally have zero of my pictures back whenever I was like kind of at my peak. And then whenever I was kind of more so like the dad bod era, even though I'm not really a dad, but
so I'm thinking that you changed your phone number at one point.
No, I've had the same cell phone since I've been 30.
I've got back till 2019. I know I have some on here because I came across a few of them not too long ago, and I thought about sending them to you. Yeah, I don't. They're probably on my other phone. Definitely saved on a phone somewhere. Because
you need to find those.
Well, I think I came across that video too, where the day that you decided that you were going to start, was it throwing donuts or whatever? Or
oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah, because
what was that for?
Because you left this huge stain on my floor. Yeah. And I remember because I was out of town, and he's like, Shawn's like, hey, I got this cool idea for this thing, on social media. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, just make sure you pick it up. And I come back and there's like this stain under my monolift, and it took me like 3 moppings to get it up. I'm like, my God, what did he do while I was gone?
Well, so the whole point of me doing that was, Arsenal strength training, which is a type of it's a type of workout equipment, was doing like a kind of like a what is it? I forget exactly what they were doing.
Challenge, I think.
Was that what it was?
Yes. It was I Love My Gym Challenge, and I was showing how cool y'all were, and for me to be able to do something like that. So I remember this day like very vividly. So I came in, Emily Weiss, she was in there kind of, watching the gym and stuff like that. I don't remember if I mentioned to her, hey, I'm going to be doing this. I probably didn't because I think she might have.
Because I got a text from her. I'm like, is this approved? Is this okay?
So okay, so let's give a little bit of a backstory because that was a funny day. So, um, there was some random guy in there, and I was like, hey, I got this crazy idea. We're trying to win this equipment, and specifically the equipment that we were trying to win was a vertical leg press, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a vertical leg press, and Arsenal strength training equipment is very good equipment. So, I had this idea where I was like, okay, I'm going to take my shirt off. I'm going to wear this wig. I think it was like a red wig or something. I'm going to squat. I think it was like I had 315 in my back, and I was like, I'm going to do this for reps. And what I want you to do is, I was telling this guy, I want you to just throw all this flour, whatever, just throw a whole bunch of shit at me while I'm squatting. And I was eating Wheaties beforehand. I was like, yeah, because that thing, have you had your Wheaties today or whatever? So I was eating Wheaties, and then I had the bowl and I just smashed the bowl and it just went everywhere. And yeah, so I need to get that video because that video was hilarious.
Hey, but we won the equipment.
That's right. We won the challenge.
And
exactly.
That vertical leg press is still being used today.
I feel bad because I was cleaning up around it, but I didn't think about going under the equipment.
It was one of them kind of things, like when you, after a couple of years, you pull your couch cushions off and you're like, my gosh, I didn't realize that I had ice cream, cake. That's kind of how it was. Like first time I moved that monolift, it was like stuck to the floor. I'm like, why is it sticking to the floor?
Oh, that was fun. I really do miss coming in there a lot. It's just, there's just no place like it, man. So, I mean, y'all are just very genuine people and, you're very humble and you don't, it's cool. So.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so now what are y'all doing to, since it's a very unique place and I know you're not the kind of people I'll give an example. Like if you're training somebody, like you're not going to chase them to be like, hey, what's going on? You're supposed to be sending me your progress pictures, once a week or what have you and stuff like that. So like, what are you doing to separate yourself from other gyms that are in Cleveland or, and nationwide as well? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, because I wrestled a lot with this over the last couple of years. We've got, other fitness centers that are popping up, in town and things like that. And, somebody gave me some good advice one time. It was a district manager of a very large chain gym. And he made the comment, he walked in and he took a tour of our place. And I think he was even surprised that I was willing to talk to him when I found out who he was. But, I was like, I got nothing to hide, So, we took a tour. We talked about gym stuff. And he said, you got a good thing going here. And he said, the worst thing you can do is try to take on everyone else. He said, because the moment you do that, you water down who you are as a person and what you set out to do initially. And that's where you're going to start seeing things kind of fall apart for you. He says, stick to what you know, keep doing what you do it the best you can do it, and you'll survive it. And so that always stuck with me. And so I guess to answer your question, we are, at least I am in my training, as far as my training schedule and stuff, I'm trying to refocus myself on the things that put us on the map to begin with. Those clients you're talking about. Yeah, I'm not going to chase them down. I figure if you're coming to me and you want help, I'll give you all the help I can, but I want to make sure that you're committed to it. So I've become more selective, I guess, in who I train now. I'm at a position now where I don't just have to take on every single person that walks through the door, which, I had to do initially, because we had those bills that we had to pay. But now we've I guess, become more selective, and which I think in a way has even made what we had initially even better, because the quality that we're turning out, it's so much higher than it was, in the initial stages of the gym, and which it's enabled me to free up some time so that we can start to focus on some of these other avenues on what we want to do now, as far as, like I say, group classes and things like that. Because for 8 years, we basically survived on one-on-one training and just general gym membership. We didn't have a lot more to offer than that. We did it well, but that's all we had. So, we've added some new equipment since you've been there. We've kicked quite a bit of money into the back room so that we can do some classes back there. We have a high school wrestling club out of the gym now. We've got jiu-jitsu. We do Muay Thai out of there. Like I said, we're trying to expand into another building now next door so that we can, hopefully do some group training and change the demographic.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what your initial opinion of the gym before you walked in, but we still, even after 8 years, we'll get somebody that comes in the front door and like, man, I was intimidated to come in here. And that always bothered me a little bit, and I never understood that why, because as you said, when you get there, it's a big family and everybody loves everybody, and
well, they feel like they need to be in shape.
Yeah, before they show up. So we're trying to kind of change the demographic in a sense. They're like, hey, I don't care where you are in your fitness journey. You could be coming from, 200 pounds overweight on a couch. Just show up. Yeah. We'll get you on the right path, So that's, I guess, to answer your question, that's the direction. It's just we're trying to dial in our focus a little bit tighter, on the areas that we know we can do well, and try to not take on everyone else. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fitness center. I'm not going to put 80 treadmills in my gym. That's just not my model, So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I feel like
no, it definitely does. That was a good in-depth answer, because it makes me think of like
too in-depth. Shawn, did I talk too much?
That's the whole point of this podcast, to talk. So if you don't talk and I don't talk, then it's not going to work out. So,
yeah.
No, that was good, because like it just makes me think of, I'm not going to name any names or anything, but it just makes me think of certain individuals that are very standoffish to come into a gym such as y'all's, because they feel intimidated, which I've heard that so many times, not only from that gym but just XYZ gym as well. And I kind of had the same mindset, like I don't understand that. So but yeah, it's very interesting that's a thing, and I'm happy to see that y'all are kind of like, I guess, realizing that, because like you were saying, you didn't know what my first opinion was. My first opinion was I thought it was a badass gym and I loved it. It's good to see that you're kind of realizing, I guess, that the people's thoughts such as that, and you're trying to change the demographic, like you said, and going from there. And that's cool that y'all are kind of expanding to the another building. Or so did someone leave, or like what? How
and this is just something in the works right now. It's just a property next to us it's going to be available in the next couple of weeks. And so we've kind of been in negotiations with them, and and I'm hoping that things will work out to where we can secure that that property, because we've wanted for the last couple of years to expand somehow, and we've entertained the idea of opening a second location. I know the Chattanooga area, we've looked at a few buildings there.
Yeah.
And I think we would be received well there, but it's one of those things, like I talk about the hours that I used to work. How do you duplicate that? How do I go to another facility and replicate what I've done at this one without letting this one suffer? So we've kind of taken the stance, well, let's just stay where we are and see if we can just expand this existing facility into something bigger and better.
Well, I'm excited, because I know y'all have been talking about that for a while, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds. So I'm getting all tingly, So
yeah, next time you come up, we might have Zumba, Shawn.
You might have Zumba. Oh man,
that's probably trademarked. I didn't say that. No. But no, and that's exactly what we would avoid, because all these other places have things like that in place. Yeah. So the thing that we've always done is we've basically just done what no one else is doing. And so that's kind of created a unique market for us. We're not pulling in, 5,000 members like some of these other places, but what we do have is quality, and I would take that quality over quantity any day.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, my members, they're there. at least 3 times a week. Probably 90% of them, it's crazy. And which is why we've established a cap too, at the gym, a membership cap that we won't go over, just to prevent it from getting too busy and too out of control. So, if we get to that point, we're pretty close to that cap now. If we get there, it becomes basically a waiting list thing. We're going to be more exclusive at that point. So we just want to make sure that the people that are training in our facility want to be there. They appreciate the things that we have to offer, because we do try really hard on the customer service end of things. If you have any kind of issue there, you're not going to deal with an employee. You've got my number. You're going to deal with me. You're going to call me directly. I'm going to deal with it directly, and it's going to be dealt with right away.
Yeah, because y'all don't have a sales team. You don't have, like, you do have personal trainers that work there, but they don't necessarily work for you. They pay like a service fee or whatever, or a maintenance fee.
they basically pay me a rental fee, and then they run their own business the way they want to run it.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I thought was so cool, because it's more personal. You know, like you said, if you got a problem, call me directly. I'll get it taken care of. And I think that's why people flock to that gym more so than a lot of other gyms in that general area, is because it's just very genuine and y'all actually care. So yeah, it's really cool. So now, what is it like working with each other? So you got, got a married couple running a gym. I'm sure y'all.
We were doing so well, man. We were nailing this podcast, and now he has to bring out that stuff.
It is definitely I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this? And
I think there's a difference too, like working in the business sense of it, and working as like me as her trainer. Those are two very different worlds for us. I've usually done all of her training for the most part. That can get dicey, when your husband is telling you, hey, I'm going to cut 15 grams of carbs out of your plan this week, and the wife hears I'm fat.
Yeah.
And that's not my intention by any means. I'm in coach mode, but she can't separate that the same way that I can. So that can get kind of hairy. I think we work well together as far as the business itself. We established some parameters early on of what she's going to be responsible for, and then what I'm going to be responsible for, and we just stay in our lanes, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
you kind of have to keep that separate so then we don't collide.
Yeah, for sure. So what? I know y'all do like you'll sponsor like a show or every once in a while, and correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all have a tanning business as well, correct? Like a spray tan business. So like, how do you choose which show you may or may not sponsor, and how are you choosing which shows that you're going to go to do spray tanning for the athletes?
So as far as like usually ones we sponsor, we try to back shows that are important to us. Like the first show that we ever sponsored, it was where Dawniel got her start, when she was an amateur. So that was a kind of a near and dear show to us, kind of like where this road began.
I still love it. It's a great show.
Yeah, and we're sponsoring it again this year.
Yeah.
And we will always have a place in our heart for that particular show. You know? So usually those kind of shows, it's because there's some sort of background story to it on why that show is important to us. So we're willing to put a little extra, into that. As far as the shows that we can, I mean, we try to handle all of Tennessee. Every year it's just one of these things where you renegotiate, and you got all these other tanning companies out there, and it's kind of a cutthroat business. And it's just I will go outside of Tennessee, but I don't have any desire to try to push into that market, if that makes sense. Tennessee's my home, so we try to take care of the Tennessee competitors. We've developed over the years, I think, some pretty good relationships with those people. We've probably been doing tanning now for close to a decade.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's almost like you're going and you're hanging out with your friends, you know, that you haven't seen in a while. So like at least once a year we get to see these guys and, catch up, and it keeps us relevant and involved in the sport too. And it always makes me come home the next weekend and I go on a diet, usually that Monday, because when I see everybody, and they're in great shape, and then I'm like, my tanning gun's kind of resting here on top of my belly. I'm like, maybe I need to go back and take this serious again, So it's just kind of how it is. It's just something we like to do to give back. And people helped us out a lot. I mean, when we first started out and didn't know a thing about this industry, and Dawniel was getting ready to compete, we didn't even know how to pose. But we were fortunate enough to find some people early on that basically just took us under the wing, man, and showed us what they know, and basically poured knowledge into us and didn't even charge us for it.
Yeah, very kind.
Yeah, so it's one of those kind of things where we try to give back the same way, and that's one reason, like you say, we care about our clients. That's where a lot of that comes from. There are a lot of people that they want training and they want guidance, but they don't have $80 an hour, Yeah. You can go to some of these markets, and I would say your market's probably pretty expensive down there for personal training.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's probably ridiculous, So we want to make it accessible to everybody. And I probably am a lot cheaper than I need to be. but I'm okay with that, you know, because I get to do something that I love. I get to watch people's lives change, you know, and I feel like that we're contributing to the growth of an industry, which in a lot of ways, you know, the bodybuilding world, it's not a huge industry, you know, it's just not. And you know, so that's kind of what it is for us.
We sincerely love being at these shows and helping. Even the people that we come with and they help us spray tan and everything, like they pour their hearts into it too, and they really like, you know, being there. It is such a hard thing because you get backstage and something happens, especially your new people, and they're like, oh my gosh, I put water on my leg, you know, what do I do? And we're like, no, you're fine, we've got this. And just trying to calm them down to where they're like, okay, I just have to worry about going on stage, you know? And I mean, I've even been backstage where we had a girl, her suit snapped in the back, her figure suit. And me and another girl are sitting back there putting safety pins together to make her a strap so that she could go on stage because she didn't have a backup suit. And so it was like, yeah, I was there for tanning, but we helped with that. And then watching her on stage, and she got second, I think. And her suit, we were just like, please don't pop, please don't pop. So, but
that would have been a viral video.
No, we love it. We love doing it.
Yeah. So, you know, one thing I always thought was like super cool about y'all's gym as well is like, you know, you would hold like powerlifting competitions or, you know, maybe like a charity for like a local business or something like that. And, you know, I can remember this was back before Dallas McCarver had passed away. Rest in peace to him. It was, I think, I want to say, so he was there, Matt Jansen, and then Nicole, I can't remember her last name, some IFBB pro. You know, we didn't have to pay for anything. They would just come in and they would just talk about, you know, nutrition or just whatever general questions you may have about working out and stuff like that. You know, I remember Brandon Curry. I think he just won the Mr. Olympia just a couple of years back. You know, and he's from Tennessee. He would come in there. I remember him doing like just helping out with posing and stuff like that. And it was all free. And I'm like, how is this a thing? You know, so it was very cool to have, you know, people like that come in, and it was awesome. Like, and I was thinking about this earlier because you know, I follow Rob and Dana Lynn Bailey on Instagram because they're just very interesting humans, and I remember them coming to the Grit House. But I didn't have the opportunity to come there. I think I was working or doing whatever else, and I was like, man, that must have been so cool to just talk to them and just experience that moment because they're just super cool people. So
that was a crazy thing because I remember like the phone rang at the gym one day and I answered it, and you know, and she's like, hey, this is Dana Lynn Bailey. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, okay, which one of you guys is pulling my leg, man, you know? And but I met her before we had other shows, you know, which they probably didn't know us, you know, we're nobody, you know, in that world to them. But I figured out real quick, I actually was talking with her, and they were getting ready to do a road tour, and they wanted to know if they could stop by and work out. Of course, I'm not going to say no to that, you know. And yeah, we didn't know what to expect. And man, like I had people from 3-4 states away showing up for that thing. I mean, they were making like a weekend trip of this, and it was standing room only in there. And it was supposed to be kind of just like a meet and greet kind of deal. You know, they were just going to pop in, quick workout, shake some hands, sign some autographs, and move on. And the members wouldn't let them leave, basically. I mean, it was like 300 people, no joke, standing around the machine watching the entire workout, you know, and they were so cool. I mean, they literally stayed probably like 4 hours, you know, and made sure that every single person that made the trip got a chance to talk to them.
That was one of the coolest things to me.
Yeah, it was
neat. They let every single person that was in line, they stayed, because I think that they were probably an hour or two past behind schedule, but they stayed. That was super cool to me.
Yeah, there's some super cool people, and I always saw that picture that y'all put up, kind of like, I guess, behind the counter or wherever, and I'm like, man, I wish I was there that day, but I was doing something else. So
that must have been on one of your hiatuses.
Yeah, I decided to go eat some Chick-fil-A or something else. I don't know. No, speaking of Chick-fil-A, this is totally off topic, or kind of on topic in regards to like me not being in shape. But there's this place. I don't know if it's specific to Dallas, Texas, but It's called Dave's Hot Chicken.
Huh?
So when y'all go to Austin, I'm gonna have to look it up. It's hands down 100 times better than Chick-fil-A. And if you like Chick-fil-A,
Wow. Yeah.
you're shaking your head, Nate.
That's almost blasphemy, man.
Dude, I thought the same thing. And so the reason I found out about this place because I followed this guy. He's IFBB Pro. He lives here in Dallas or right outside of Dallas. Jason Poston.
Yeah.
I think he was like Mr. Oh shoot, what was it? He was in the God, what is it called? You're in the board shorts and stuff like that. Physique, I guess. So yeah, so he was, that was his jam for a long time, and I saw him posting about Chick-fil-A or Dave's Hot Chicken, and then he did like a little live review of it. And he was like, I got to tell you, Dave's Hot Chicken is so much better. And I was like, I don't know if I believe you because I did the same thing. I was shaking my head. I was like, don't you say that. So I tried it, and I was like, oh my God, what are y'all doing to this chicken? Because it's so good. So, anyways, if you're all going to Austin, Galveston, wherever, and they have a Dave's Hot Chicken, you need to stop by there because you will not be disappointed. And if you are, then I'm sorry, I'll pay for your food.
Do you realize just in the time that we've been talking, how many corporate plugs that you could get out of this? I mean, if these people would just sponsor you, I mean, really, man.
Yeah.
Let's hope this gets more than 50 views, man.
I'm taking it one step at a time right now. So
you're doing good, man. I got on looked at some of your other videos, when I sent you, I was looking for some information on your link, and I was impressed, man. I mean, you got some cool people on there, and I think you handle it very well, and I think you definitely found something that you can thrive in.
Yeah. Yep.
Throwing on the tanning thing, you're talking about Branch Warren and stuff, and then tanning. Nathan's tanned a lot of these people.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like when we were, like if they come to the shows and stuff, or like when we've been at the Arnold, working backstage and stuff, like we've done a lot of that.
That's pretty cool.
It's been an interesting experience for us because we never really thought we would be where we are. Like, we started like everybody else, we just wanted to do a show.
Yeah.
And, we somehow just kind of, through the process of falling in love with bodybuilding, ended up finding ourselves in unique situations. And we always just try to, I mean, like you say, treat people right,
Well,
show them respect. And it's amazing how many people respond to that, and Dallas was a good example. I mean,
yeah.
He was a tough nut to crack for me, man. Cause I knew him for like 2 years and he never really said a word to me, and I didn't think he liked me at all. And we had a very serious conversation one time, and he said, I'm in this industry, and he said, when you get to the level that I'm at, somebody always wants something from you.
Yeah.
And I never thought of it like that, but when you do become, as great as he was, and he was a phenomenal bodybuilder.
He worked hard too.
Like one of the hardest working guys I've ever met in my life when it comes to the gym, and he finally confessed one time. He said, he goes, you have never asked a single thing from me. And, and that at that moment, like mine and his relationship changed, we became friends at that point, and he let me train with him on multiple occasions. And I mean, those are kind of workouts where I didn't walk for 6 days afterwards. I mean, they were brutal, but you can't help respect somebody like that puts the kind of work ethic that he did into that, and did it day in and day out, and much respect. And we've got some pictures hanging up at the gym still in memory of him, and some of his best friends still train there. I mean, Bo's best friend growing up, he still trains at the gym. And I mean, that's a special thing for us, But yeah, treat people right, man. Treat people right.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't imagine working out with him because I worked out with Bo one time, and it just happened to be leg day. And
dude, no, man, no, you don't do leg day with him. Ab day. That's what
his third shoulders or something.
So it was cool to be able to work out with him because he's just such an animal. Whenever he came in there, he's a very cool guy, and I just, I was trying so hard to keep up with him, and I've seen him work out with Dallas before, and I'm like, dude, I can barely keep up with Bo.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing Bo go toe to toe with Dallas, and I'm like, dude, and no disrespect to Bo whatsoever because he's a fucking animal, but like seeing him work out with Dallas and like kind of try to keep up, I'm like, dude, I couldn't even hang. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that makes me think about like I remember whenever Dallas was in the gym one time. This was whenever he was sponsored by BSN Nutrition. And they had some guys in there that worked for the company and they were shooting a commercial.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, he was doing some deadlifts and he was pulling like 600 or 700 like for reps, like no big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this and whatever.
Bending, you know.
yeah, and for kind of like shock value, he had like these chains around his neck and stuff like that. And I remember him doing it for like 5 or 6 reps, and then the guy that was doing the videography portion of it was like, "Hey, can you do that again?" And Dallas was like, and I'm not gonna say exactly what he said, but he was like, you know what? How about you go ahead and do it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was pretty funny. So he was a cool dude.
Yeah.
I was kind of making fun of him one day because I mean, if you ever saw him in person, he was just an enormous human being, you know.
Oh yeah,
like a big lab.
I mean, probably 6'2", you know. I mean, just insanely huge, and he was curling like 25-pound dumbbells. And he's going, of course, you know, he's going slow, time under tension. I get there. So I make a joke, you know, about him with the 25-pound dumbbells. And he gets down on an incline bench and he pushes the 150-pound dumbbells for 26 reps.
Oh my!
And
God.
I mean, just to see that in person, I mean, that is just mind-boggling. The power that kid had. I mean, it was impressive. Yeah, he was a great asset. And you know, he's one of those too. Like early on in the gym when we first got started. And he was kind of just getting started too, in a way, you know. First time I met him, we'd actually went to just a local bodybuilding show, and I saw this kid, and I didn't know who he was. I mean, 18 years old, maybe 7. Right? I think he's 18.
He was 18. Yeah.
And I had just started a T-shirt company at that time, and so I had all these T-shirts in my trunk, and I told Dawniel, I said, "Look at that kid." I said, "That kid's going to be an Olympian one day." And she's like, "How can you tell?" I said, "I'm just telling you. I can tell. He's going to be an Olympian one day." I said, "You think you'd wear my shirts?" So I walked up to him and I'm like, "Hey, you know, I'm so-and-so. And I just started a T-shirt company, man. I'm really impressed by your physique." I said, "If I gave you some free shirts, would you wear them?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." You know, so I went and got every 3X that I had, you know, and I gave it to him. And then I see a picture later on, like on Instagram, I think. A couple
months later.
He's at the Olympia walking around and he's wearing my shirt. And I was like, holy cow. I like, he actually wore the shirt. Yeah. So yeah, it was kind of a cool thing. And it was short time after that. I mean, his career just skyrocketed.
I think that was his first bodybuilding show. Yeah, we saw him.
I mean, he literally never lost. I mean, it was like win the overall, go to national level, boom, win the overall, get pro card. I mean, just insane progression with him. But yeah, you don't see people like that come around very much.
Yeah, he just about flipped out when he saw that post. He was like, "He's got my shirt on."
You know, I felt like I made it at that point, you know. And then even the BSN thing you're talking about. I mean, we were sitting at home watching the Olympia the year they did that, and I'm watching the screen, and they've got like commercials they're playing up on the bodybuilding stage, and I see that commercial, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the Grit House is at the Olympia." You know, I mean, it's like it was kind of a whirlwind thing for us too. You know, like we were all just kind of growing up together at the same time, and it was kind of cool, you know.
Yeah, that was super surreal to just see him work out. It was kind of like seeing Photoshop in real life. It was no other way to describe that. But yeah, no, I was just gonna say it was crazy. So
yeah, I tanned him at a show one time, and he's in the back room, and it was so funny because there's signs everywhere. You know, don't shower. You know, because they don't want tan everywhere.
Backstage is very
particular. Well, you know, he's backstage. He's taking a shower. You know,
he gets in the shower.
Well, he's taking a shower, and you know, he's spitting up in the sink. I mean, and it's like I'm on my hands and knees trying to clean up after him because I don't want to get in trouble because I'm the tanning company. You know, and I looked at, I was like, "Dallas," I said, "I think I know why you're single, man." You know, I think I figured it out. You know. Yeah,
you gotta love him.
Yeah, those are good stories. You know, good stories. Big kid, man. Just there's a reason they call him Big Country. You know, I mean, big kid, awesome person to hang out with and train. I mean, just it is sad. We see a lot of this in the bodybuilding world now, where we're losing these guys too soon.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's an issue that definitely needs to be addressed on a larger scale. But that's probably a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But it's just something that I think that we all need to take great attention to, and as trainers, we need to be very mindful, of the direction that we lead our clients.
Yeah, for sure. Because like what you're referring to is like super taboo in the bodybuilding world. Not a lot of. I feel like a lot of people have been talking about it more so here recently, but yeah, it's definitely very taboo, and I think it needs to be talked about a lot more. I don't have the knowledge in that aspect of that whole world, but just from like what I've seen, what I've heard, it's like, well, to some people, is it worth it? Yeah, maybe, but yeah, it's not something that I would ever really try. Have I thought about it? Yes, I have, but I just, for me personally, I was like, am I going to be in the Olympia? No way. But
and you see so many people, they're just normal folks, like, I mean, I'm not going to the Olympia. I know that. I don't have that kind of genetic potential, and see people push the envelope so much to win that, $12 plastic trophy. And I just don't understand that. It's a, do it because it's something you want to do for yourself. That fitness, if you want to get in shape, you want to go out there and be your best version of you. Hey,
Yeah.
do it, man. But do it healthy, do it smart, because at the end of the day, I think, at least for me as a trainer, my first and foremost priority is to keep my people safe and healthy.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
The moment I cross that line, I've sold out in a lot of ways. And I've just never been comfortable with that, Yeah, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, I feel that. So, hey, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up right here. I really do appreciate y'all jumping on. It's been, like I said, I don't know if it was like whenever we were recording or beforehand, but it's been like a year since I've seen y'all. Very good to see you virtually. Appreciate y'all hopping on. And until next time, everybody.